Hello and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here with me today to meet Misty Morning. This is Racing for Home Misty Morning. We'll talk a little bit about her and her genetics, her line in my herd, but also probably talk a little bit about, I don't know, I tend to ramble a little bit, but really talk about what I'm trying to do, I guess, with my herd. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, let me introduce you to Misty. That was a terrible introduction. Everybody's already dropped and not paid attention. Poor Misty. I'm sorry. All right. So Misty Morning was born to Racing for Home Jacey, who you've met in a previous video. Jacey is the daughter of Soul Ore's Emma Leigh, who you've also met in the previous video. So this is a third generation for me. And she was sort of a shocker, okay? She came from Jacey. Now, Jacey was leaps and bounds improvement over her mother, Emma Leigh, but Misty here is like what I would have expected from a 2 or 3 generation improvement out of Jacey. So I talked in one of my other videos, sometimes a breeding pair just gives their kid the best of everything they got. And this is what happened, right? So Misty is absolutely perfectly conformed. Her ear set could use a little work, but I'm not complaining there. She's got coat that goes for miles, which is exactly what it should. She does have some undercoat, which is what I'm working on now. Even though she's had her spring brush out, there's more coming out. So we'll continue to make sure that keeps coming out. But the texture of her coat, when we get rid of the undercoat, is just pure silk. And it's exactly what we want. It drapes, it flows. She has a beard. She's missing a little bit on the cheek muff side, and she rubbed all her bangs off, but she actually did used to have bangs. Misty is carrying 2 legs of her 3 needed for her Master Champion status, so I'd love to get her back in the ring and get her to finish out her Master Championship, and we will probably try that later this year or early next year, depending on how life proceeds. But that's the plan is, hopefully she will get in the ring and she will do what she does best, show off a bit and catch the judge's eye and get that 3rd leg. That's my hope anyway. She's got a lot of reserve grand champion titles. She's just got a lot of titles, period. But I really am chasing the Master Champion for her. So she was a kind of an accidental keeper, not in the sense that I wasn't trying to keep her, but in the sense that I actually, in the same year that she was born, I had Maleficent. And Maleficent, who you've met in a previous video, is a solid black goat from a different line and was just absolutely stunning. And Misty was from a set of triplets, 2 boys and her. And I really, as much as I loved her look and I loved her appearance, Mal was what caught my eye, right? And I'm sure it's because she was solid black and I didn't have a solid black goat in my herd. Those things do tend to unconsciously bias you for choices. Thankfully, and I told you the story of Mal, right? A pretty tremendous breeder in the mini Silky world reached out and wanted Maleficent. So that sort of shifted my attention to Misty, and Misty became my keeper for the year. And I am so glad that happened because Misty has just got it all going on. She's got, like I said, a couple of detractors, right? So some of her detractors are that she's not got the best ear set. She needs to have them forward just a hair more. She doesn't have cheek muffs. She did have bangs, so I'm not complaining about that. She just decided to rub them off. What you got up here? You got a tick? Or you just got schmutz? Schmutz. Dirt, mud, all sorts of yucks. Okay, so, she's got a couple of things that we need to improve on. But conformationally, she's gorgeous. The length of her neck is stunning. The drape of the coat around her neck is stunning. The length of her coat is stunning. The luster and sheen of her coat is stunning. And this is while her coat is absolutely filthy dirty, and she really needs a bath. So just imagine, you know, bathed up and in a show ring, what she does. She shines, and she really, personality-wise, she does as well. So happy that that's how it worked out. And then, of course, I ended up getting Maleficent back. And then now she's left the farm again. So it's a circle, to say the least. So that's Misty. Misty is a breeding pairing. She took a year off this year, so she did not get pregnant this year. And as I've told you before, you know, if the goats don't get pregnant after a second exposure to the buck, I don't force it. They don't get pregnant that year, and we don't have kids. And that's another, again, probably poor business decision on my end, because you don't have kids, you don't make any money. But my opinion on that is that if they've been exposed to the buck at the appropriate time, so during heat, 2 months in a row, and don't settle, that's their body telling you that they need time off. They should not be bred that year. Do I know that for a fact? Am I a vet? No, of course not. I don't know that for a fact. It's my philosophy. It's how I feel about it. I feel like nature is giving me a signal, and I should not challenge that signal. And so I don't. So she did not get bred. Well, she did get bred. She did not get pregnant this year. Last year, for babies this year. Really need to be specific with my words, I guess. So I'm excited to have her, if all goes as planned, back on the breeding rotation for kids next year. My hope is that I get to keep another daughter from her. That would mean she'd actually have to give me a daughter, which, you know, usually when I want one, I don't get one. And you may ask, well, why aren't I thinking about keeping a buck from her if she's so amazing? And the answer is I have a daughter from her already who's shown improvement over her. And if I'm going to keep a buck from a pairing from this line, it's going to be from her daughter, right? Because why not? So we'll meet her daughter in a subsequent video. All of the Meet the Goat videos are linked below in the description box if you need to go back and reference them. So anyway, that's sort of the story behind Misty. Now, Misty has given me a couple of kids over the years. I kept one daughter. So I have a fourth generation from this line on the farm. And she's still a young doe. She's old enough that, and I've talked about this in a couple of other videos too, she's old enough now where her stature is a little bit taller than what people are looking for today based on the new height recommendations. She's well within. She's actually several inches under the height maximum. But she's still on the taller side, and the preference now has shifted to goats that are a little bit more statured, like Wren, who you've met, like Sock Monkey, and like you'll see her daughter. So her height is a bit of a detractor, but it's still well within standard. And, you know, I would never take her out of the breeding rotation for that. I just look for a buck who's a little bit shorter in stature to breed her to improve on that. She does have some undercoat. It comes out really easily, as you may have noticed. I'm not really working on it very hard. And so that's all positive. Of course, the ideal is no undercoat, but, you know, can't have it all. So really like this doe. Her personality is interesting. She's super quiet, very reserved. She's comfortable to not be the star of the show in the herd. So she'll hang back behind folks. She'll do her own thing. She's quite independent. She's not afraid of people by any means, but she's not people-oriented like Wren, who comes running up when she sees me. You know, she's just a little bit more reserved in that sense. Yet when I take her in a ring and we stand her up, and we ask her, we kind of indicate to her, right, stand still, show us your best show pose, look pretty for the judges kind of thing. She does that naturally. A lot of goats, you have to sort of help them place their feet, stand straight, hold their head up, blah, blah, blah. Misty does that naturally, and that's part of the reason that she's got 2 legs already, is she catches the judges' eyes really quickly. Her eyes shine at them. She sort of almost smiles and winks at them. She's just got that diva personality in the ring. And it's so fascinating to me because she doesn't have that personality in the herd. In the herd, she's quite content to just be a part of the herd. But you can see, once spring grooming is done, the grooming maintenance on these goats is fairly easy. It's the one spring grooming where you're trying to get all that undercoat out, where they're shedding, where they've been dirty from winter. That's always hard. I do need to bathe these guys. I don't bathe them often because you don't want to dry out their skin or pull the oils out of their coat, right? Because you want that coat to have that shine and that luster. But at the same time, they're dirty. They need to be washed. So that'll probably be, if not the next round of grooming, before the fall, they'll get a bath, a full-on shampoo, condition, etc. More than just the touch-up grooming that they're getting now. And so there, I forget how fast I can get them done when they're already cleaned up. And so I think I need topics to talk about when really by the time I talk about them, I'm done. So I hope you enjoyed meeting Misty and learning a little bit about her history, seeing her sparkle as she sits in front of the camera. She doesn't know she's on camera. Oops, we got one spot here. Hold on. And if you did enjoy, let me know. Let me know what else you want to hear about the goats, or goat fun facts, or anything else that may be interesting to you. I'd love to continue these sort of grooming chats. And you see, as they get faster, right? They're kind of easy to watch, I would hope. And, we'll be finished with the Meet Everybody series soon enough. And as I rotate through them again, do you want to see them again, I guess is the big question. Would you like to see another session of grooming with the same goats you've already met? And if so, what topics you want to chat about? Doesn't even have to be goat related. We can talk about anything. We can talk about the weather. We can talk about audiobooks or TV shows. Always take recommendations for any of that too. So I hope that you are having a fabulous day wherever you are in the world. Please take care of yourself, take care of everybody around you, and I hope they take care of you back. Have a fabulous, fabulous day. Thank you for being a part of my community, and we will talk to you at the next one. Bye for now.